7 new launch projects have gone up in Lentor since 2022. With only 23 units left, less than Lentor Garden Residences, here's a question I get asked every week. Should you still buy the 7th Lentor Garden Residences by Kingsford? By the end of this video, I'll give you my verdict for 3 types of buyers: HDB upgraders, nearby condo owners, and investors. And I'll tell you exactly where the price makes sense and where it doesn't. I'm Kenio. Let's get into the numbers. Before I show you the unit mix, floor plan and all, I want to start where most reviews never start: the land cost. Kingsford won this site at 920 PSF, and that's the lowest amongst the whole Lentor area. Every other developer paid more. And even the latest Lentor Central GLS was sold at 1,278 PSF. Now here's the critical question. Does Kingsford pass their land cost savings to buyers, or do they price it same as everyone else and pocket that margin? Based on PropNext CEO commentary and market estimates, the expected launch price is about 2,150 PSF. Which in some way it does make sense because the other plot that was recently sold is about 300 PSF higher than what was bought. Lentor Gardens is the furthest away from the MRT station compared to the previous launches, which also means it is the furthest away from the nearest amenities at Lentor Modern. Yet, this project enjoys a good view looking towards Hillock Park, Targo Industrial Area, and the nearby landed housing estates. Based on current map data, there are no primary schools within 1 km of Lentor Garden Residences. Within 2 km, we have Anderson Primary, CHIJ St. Nicholas Girls School, Mayflower Primary, and Ang Mo Kio Primary School. Compared to Lentor Central, it has Anderson Primary within 1 km. So this project should appeal to families who have confidence to enter the primary school within 2 km. Referring to the master plan, this is Lentor Garden Residences. Next, we have the Lentor Central GLS that was recently sold. And of course, we have 2 more plots over here. So one worry that a lot of people have is that with so many launches in this area, would it affect the prices in the future? Let me show you. There is currently a total of 3,453 units in the Lentor cluster, not including the Lentor Central GLS and of course the 2 other new sites that are yet to be released. If all the other lands are put up for sale, we should be expecting about 4,500 to 5,000 units in this Lentor new town area. So the key thing here is, with so much supply in the Lentor area, how can we find a safe option within Lentor Garden Residences? I'll share more with you in a bit. Let me walk you through the unit mix, and I'm going to tell you something most reviews don't. I'm going to tell you which layouts I think are efficient, and which ones are the ones that you should push back on at the show fair. Half the units, 252 out of 499 units, are 2 bedrooms ranging from 646 square feet to 732 square feet. One thing that I really like about this project is that there's no 1 bedroom, there's no 1 plus study, there's no 2 bed, 1 bath, because I honestly think that this area is a bit difficult to get investors or even a really good rental yield for this kind of projects. So let's be frank, if all the lands in this area are sold, we should be having about 4,000 to 5,000 units in this whole Lentor area. And let's say about 30% are investors, they are going to rent out the units. We are having an influx of 1,200 to 1,500 units just for rental alone. I'm not too sure whether the supply makes sense, but of course, I'm pretty sure the rental will not be as attractive as it is now because there's only Lentor Modern in this area. If there are more units coming in, I'm pretty sure the rental rate wouldn't be what it is now. I also want to share with you a table that I've collated for all the unit types in the Lentor area. So we have from 1 bedroom all the way to strata terrace. The purpose here is to find out how many similar layout types are there in this whole Lentor area, so it's easier for us to do a comparison. So because one thing I realized that different developers have different naming conventions for the different projects. So some of them they can name it as 3-bed premium, but it's actually 3-bed premium plus study. So in that case, I went through different projects, all the 7 projects, all the different floor plans. I scoured through each and every one of them, and I actually grouped them together to this table where it is right now. And this is where we can actually understand, what are the comparable layouts and how many of them are there, and of course, which one really stand out because they are the special ones in this whole Lentor area. So very notable ones is like the Lentor Gardens 2-bed with the home shelter. which I'm pretty sure even in the resale market for a lot of places, we don't really see this kind of layout, because a lot of units out there for own stay especially, people buying 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, they just lack a place to store their stuff, or probably like a small family, they have like they just need 2 bed, 2 bath, but they need somewhere for like a maid's room. So the home shelter is where is a really good addition to this family. And of course, out of the norm layouts, like we have 3-bed dual key and 4-bed dual key from Lentor Residences. And for 5 bedroom, the only 5 bedroom is Lentor Mansion. And then we also have 3 strata terrace within Lentor Gardens Residences. So in the next segment of floor plan comparison, I'll be comparing 4 different layouts, namely 2-bed premium, 2+ study, 3-bed premium, and 4-bed premium. Okay, why I choose those is because they have the most numbers out of all these different layouts. So for example, 2-bed premium, we have about 527 units. 2+ study, we have 709 units. 3-bed premium, we have 432 units. And for 4-bed premium, we have 464 units. So I believe that anyone who want to purchase here will be thinking, you know, if I were to purchase this particular layout in this particular project, is it going to be different? Okay, what is the pros and cons? And how do I compare with each different project? So this is where I'm standing, and this is where I also want to show to you which one I think is a really good layout within this whole area. So next up, I'll be doing the 2-bed premium floor plan comparison. Okay, so I'll be showing you the different floor plans. Of course, for different projects, I'll be only taking one floor plan because there's so many types of floor plan. I'll just be taking one generic floor plan. And of course, I'll be showing the transacted prices in this project for this bedroom type. Okay, so for 2-bed premium, so first up we have Hillock Green. For this kind of layout, this is something that a lot of people who wants to buy for own stay will think about buying, because one thing is that having bedrooms tucked in one corner, this is for privacy. Okay, they also like to have like a small dedicated dining area. If it's bigger, it's better. Okay, next, they probably like to have something that has an enclosable kitchen. So for Hillock Green, I do find the layout quite standard. Okay, something that people who want to buy for own stay will consider. Okay, next up we have Lentor Hill, a very classic dumbbell layout for a 2-bed, 2 bath. Okay, enclosable kitchen over here, and like what I mentioned to you, some people they treasure privacy. They don't want people to come in and then they can see inside both of their bedrooms. So a lot of people have this objection. Okay, they don't want the dining area to be facing the bathroom. So this is something that if we can avoid, then they have nothing to say. But of course, this is very common in the current market layouts. It's very difficult to find one that doesn't face the bathroom for a 2-bed, 2 bath, especially in the dumbbell layout. So Lentor Hill prices from $1.356 million to $1.679 million. So for Hillock Green, translated at $1.444 million to $1.761 million. Next up, we have Lentoria. Of course, this is not the best layout within Lentoria because some of the 2-bed, 2 bath layouts, they have windows over here. But this is just for comparison purpose, okay? So this is probably the few ones that doesn't have like an enclosable kitchen, like tucked in one corner. It has like a more efficient layout. Something you see over here, wasted corridor space. Of course, some may argue over here, which is very similar to what we have in Hillock Green. But this is the cost of having privacy, having all the bedrooms tucked in one corner. Okay, everything else is pretty standard. Okay, so Lentoria translated at $1.438 million to $1.76 million. So one thing to highlight about Lentoria is that the walls are hackable, similar to what we have in Lentor Gardens. So most of the project, or rather the other projects within Lentor area, they are all PPVC. That means the walls cannot be hacked. They cannot be combined. You know, you cannot combine 2 bedrooms into one. It's a bit difficult. So next up, we have Lentor Mansion. Lentor Mansion itself is one of the post-harmonized projects. As you can see, unit sizes are much smaller. So the previous one that I've been seeing is about 700 odd square feet. Lentoria is 732 square feet. This is about 657 square feet. So if you can see, dumbbell layout, okay, units on the side. One thing to highlight, this is not really like an enclosable kitchen unless you do like a glass panel here with a glass sliding door here. But the aesthetic wise is not really like very nice compared to those who have already tucked enclosable kitchen in one corner for you. So again, you see the dining area is facing towards the bathroom. Okay, so for Lentor Mansion, sold from 1.447 million to 1.578 million, partly because of the size. So because post-harmonized units, they are actually much smaller compared to the pre-harmonized. Okay, you can actually build it smaller, but the internal space sometimes it's roughly about the same. Now, of course, with the careful pricing from the developers, the pricing, or rather the quantum itself, might not be as high as what people expected. Now, of course, one of the latest one, Lentor Central Residences, for comparison to Lentor Garden Residences, because both are also post-harmonized. One thing to highlight is that the sizes are also the same. Okay, Lentor Central launched at 1.388, and then the highest is at 1.708 million for 2-bed 2-bath. Okay, dumbbell layout. Okay, so the bathroom also dining facing towards the bathroom, but the good thing is that we have an enclosable kitchen. Okay, one thing to highlight here is that a small, slightly wasted space here, but I think that's fine. For Lentor Garden Residences, okay, this is also a dumbbell layout. Okay, you also have an enclosable kitchen, and dining also tucked in one corner. But the good thing here is it is not directly facing the bathroom. So something I really like about this is that they created this study area, or rather it's not like a study room but more like a study space for you to put like a table and then your chair, just to use it as a workspace, or probably like a storage area, or for some people who likes to display stuff with like a display cabinet or something. So one thing to highlight is that for the wall, because it's hackable, it's going to be a bit different from what we see with the other dumbbell layouts with the other projects, because they can't hack the walls except for Lentoria. But Lentoria, I believe, mostly is about the standard condo layout, but not the dumbbell layout. So in that case, if you're looking at this, if you're looking to buy it for own stay and you really want to, hack down one of the walls, by all means, you can do so. My personal take for Lentor Garden Residences 2-bed premium is that if the launch prices are within the range from 1.356 million to 1.761 million for those who have transacted previously, I think that is a pretty safe price to enter. So if your queue is very good and you really can get a very low price, for example like 1.4, 1.5, I think you don't even have to think about it, just go for it, because you have people who have already transacted 1.76, 1.7, 1.65, that has already like been a precedence to set it like a benchmark for you. So with a safe buffer, I believe anything within that range is very, very safe. But those who are looking at the later stage of the launch, probably like your queue is not too good, or you buy it as a post-launch, if the prices are very near towards 1.76 or even higher than that, then this is where I hope you can think hard about it, whether you should really enter this project in this area. Because anything higher, I believe you are going into the 2+ study area. So unless there's really like a strong reason or like a very strong analysis to support this. Otherwise, based on price point alone, I think that if we can keep it within the range that has been transacted, that'll be something more ideal. So in today's video, I'll be doing a scoring system for the layouts I've chosen to analyze. So my scoring system is based on 5 different points. Number 1, we have our floor plan efficiency. Number 2, whether is it a functional floor plan. And number 3, whether is it flexible as a floor plan. Number 4, based on the price quantum that we are going to enter. And the last one, whether is it a good layout for own stay. So each pointer will have 2 points, and total I will have 10 points. So I'll give a score for the Lentor Garden Residences floor plan upon comparison with the other project layouts that I've shared previously. So let's start off with the 2-bed premium. For the floor plan efficiency, I'll be giving it 2 out of 2. Yay! Why is that so? Because for this layout, I don't see any wastage of space. Of course, some may argue over here, but I think this is a pretty good addition for those who are looking for own stay. So as a functional floor plan, if we compare with other different floor plans, right? This is a pretty standard floor plan where for 2-bed 2-bath, you have like an enclosable kitchen. You have a dumbbell layout, you have 2 bath, okay? At this kind of size, I think it's pretty good. For a 2-bed premium, nothing to shout about, but of course they have everything that a 2-bed 2-bath should excel in. So therefore, I will give it 2 out of 2. Next up, we have flexibility. Within Lentor Gardens, it's pretty obvious. It is a very flexible layout because the walls can be taken down. So of course, if I were to score it for the other other floor plans, for example like Lentor Central, because we couldn't hack the wall down. So in terms of flexibility, we couldn't really do anything about it. So that will be 0 out of 2 if I were to score it in this case. But because we can do something about layout, so I personally think that it's 2 out of 2. Now of course, it doesn't mean that if you can knock down the wall, it's flexible. No, it doesn't work that way. What I want to understand is that is there flexibility for us to do something like a merging? Okay, if the floor plan is can allow us to actually do something about the different layouts, like combining 2 rooms together or making it into a big living room or whatnot. So these are some of the considerations I have in mind. Okay, next one is the price quantum. So price quantum, if you look at how it is in Lentor Garden, the size is 678 square feet. Okay, Lentor Central also same. Lentor Mansion smallest at 657 square feet. In the past ones like Lentoria, 732 square feet. Hillock Green at 710 square feet. For Lentor Hill is 678 square feet. So personally, I think that if you are a post-harmonized project, okay, if you have the ability to make the unit smaller, okay, I wouldn't make it bigger. So in that case, I feel that 678 square feet is a bit too big, and therefore it will affect the price quantum for this project. And in the post-harmonized market, we are usually looking at the price quantum itself. So the bigger the unit is, the pricier it gets. So in that case, for a 678 square feet, I don't think it is the best use of a post-harmonized project. If you can get something like a Lentor Mansion kind of size, still efficient, that would be great. But otherwise, I personally think that 678 is a bit too big in this sense. Okay, so therefore, I will only give it 1 out of 2. And the last point for own stay, will it be something that people will consider for own stay? Probably, because number one is that this is the 2-bed 2-bath. You also have like a small study area. This is for someone who is looking at a 2+ study but couldn't get it, but this study space actually fits their needs. Okay, this is an enclosable kitchen, so those buying for own stay will really appreciate this kind of layout. And of course, for dumbbell enclosable kitchen, this is also very similar to the 2+ study units that we have in the market. And I've also brought clients to other 2-bed 2-bath units in the market. So some of them do appreciate like a small corner where you can actually tuck in your dining area. So this is actually quite a good plus point for those looking for own stay. And therefore, I would say that in terms of the layout, in terms of the layout, in terms of the functionality, this floor plan is a pretty good choice for own stay. Not the best, but it is still a pretty good choice. So for own stay, I'll give it 1 out of 2. So the total score for 2-bed premium in Lentor Garden is 8 out of 10. Yay! So the point here is that I feel that this layout will stand out amongst the other different projects. So if you compare with the other Lentor projects 2-bed 2-bath in the resale market, I'm sure this will really stand out in terms of the size, in terms of functionality, in terms of flexibility. And therefore, I give it 8 out of 10. Yeah. Next, we have 2+ study. So some projects, like for example, Lentor Modern name it as a 2+ flexi, but in actual fact, it's a 2+ study. And as a matter of fact, this is the best 2+ study layout I've seen within the Lentor region, because you have like a window here, and then window for the bathroom. So it's a pretty good layout, and this really stands out amongst the 2+ study. So for Lentor Modern itself, I've shared with you, the study room is over here. Okay, you have like a window for enclosable kitchen, window for the bathroom. Okay, of course, over here there's a dining area. It might not be directly facing the bathroom also. Dumbbell layout, very efficient, no wastage of space. Okay, Lentor Modern lowest 1.479 million all the way to $1.9 million. And of course, there are units selling in the current resale market as a subsale. So in Hillock Green, we have a standard 2-bedroom that is dumbbell. Okay, bathrooms on the side. This is stuck in one corner. It's not really like directly facing, but I think it's a pretty good location to be in. Only for the fact that it's a bit small. Okay, in this area. One thing that I really don't like is how awkward the study area is. It's a bit too small. So you want to say it's a study, by all means, it could be like a storage area also. But it's not really entirely functional because it's stuck in one corner. near the main entrance. Okay, enclosable kitchen, I think that's fine. Okay, but only thing that I don't really like is the study area. Okay, unit sold 1.699 to 2.071 million. Why 2.071? Why such a stark difference? Because Hillock Green has the high ceiling units. So for penthouses, the top units, you'll be seeing like a very high ceiling unit. Okay, so this is where the price quantum jumps. Next, we have Lentor Hill. Okay, so Lentor Hill itself, also pretty standard dumbbell layout. Okay, dining tucked in one corner, not facing the bathroom. That's good. Okay, enclosable kitchen. So the study area is between the bathroom and the bedroom. So what a lot of people does is that they will probably do like a wall here, door, and then they will actually take down the wall and the wardrobe. And then what happens is that this area will be converted into a L-shaped wardrobe area, probably like a island to put the jewelries or something. So this will actually function as their master bedroom. So this will not be the master bedroom, but it depends on how they want to plan this. One thing for sure, the walls are not hackable. Okay, so this will actually stay. Okay, next one we have Lentor Rear. 2+ study, also same thing compared to their 2 bed 2 bath. They are probably like a standard condo layout where the owners want to purchase here, treasure privacy. But something I find that has been lacking is that the kitchen is an open kitchen compared to the previous ones that is enclosable. The study is a bit small, so it's a bit awkwardly shaped because you probably can't even put like a single bed inside, or even really like enclose it per se. And there's a little bit of wasted space over here. Okay, plus this one, so technically the size, internal usable space should be even smaller. Anything else, I think that's pretty standard. So Lentor Rear, 1.58 million to 1.9 million dollars. Lentor Hill, 1.477 million to 1.809 million. And again, we are comparing to the previous launch, which is Lentor Central Residences. So again, as a 2+ study, this is a dumbbell layout. Okay, so dining tucked in one corner, a little bit small, but I think it's fine. Okay, enclosable kitchen over here, study, which can function as a storeroom. Okay, the only thing that I would say is that because the walls are not hackable, and of course you cannot combine this together unless you really want to combine. Then I don't know how your guests go to the bathroom or they actually enter the master bedroom to use the bathroom. Okay, but ultimately, if you really have this kind of idea, is that you just take away this wardrobe, change it into like a study desk or something, and then you can actually shift your wardrobe here, something like that. Okay, not the best, but I think as a 2+ study, that's fair enough. Okay, so Lentor Central sold at 1.606 million to 1.915 million. Okay, so for Lentor Garden Residences, how efficient, how functional, and how flexible this layout is. Going into this layout, we have a standard dumbbell 2-bedroom. Okay, study tucked in one corner, and then we have an enclosable kitchen. So something that I want to really say is that even though the walls are hackable, so for example, you want to increase the size of the living room, that's fine. Okay, probably you just need to take down this wall. This can be your guest toilet, and then you just seal this door up. This will become your master bedroom. But because it's supposed to be flexible, you know, you want to knock down the walls, combine the bedrooms, but you cannot combine the study room with any of the other bedrooms. Okay, if you want to do something about the study room combined to this bedroom, you're going to have like a wasted space over here, because all these are not really like a usable space, it's like a walking space. Because the selling point for Lentor Garden Residences is flexibility. Okay, they like to emphasize that you can knock down the walls, but in this case, because this study area is tucked here, we can't really do anything about it. Okay, you can use it as an actual study area. You want to enclose it as a bedroom, also can, or you can probably use it as a storage space. Okay, but ultimately, this is not a very different kind of a layout. It's just a very standard 2+ study. So my personal take for this 2+ study, in terms of the scoring itself, floor plan efficiency, I would say is probably 2 out of 2, because I don't see really much of a wasted space over here. Next, for the functionality of the floor plan, I would say that it's pretty okay. Again, you have everything like enclosable kitchen, you have 2 bed 2 bath, you have like the dining area here. Personally, I just think about this study, is not really like the best. Yeah, that's why I'm giving it 1 out of 2. Next one is the flexibility. Like I mentioned about this study, you can knock down the walls by all means, but you cannot do something about this area. So this is still like a study. There's nothing too flexible about this 2+ study. In terms of price quantum, so for the 2+ study in Lentor Gardens, this is 732 square feet. Okay, over here, this is about 786 square feet. So for the Lentoria is about 732, Lentor Hill about 7 something. And then for the Hillock Green, 753, and then for Lentor Modern is 732. So my personal take is that this is really not the best 732 square feet within this area, because Lentor Modern, even though it's 732, the flexi area has a window, okay? The kitchen has a window, the bathroom has a window. Even though the walls are not hackable, okay, but in terms of how they plan this, I think it's a much better choice compared to what we have within Lentor Gardens. So I think it's pretty normal, pretty neutral about this. I would say that in terms of the size, the price quantum, this is not like the smallest, because if Lentor Modern as a pre-harmonized can do a 732 with this kind of layout, Lentor Garden is a post-harmonized. Why can't they do it slightly smaller and in a much better layout? That's something I cannot really get past. So in that sense, in terms of pricing, I'm only giving like a 1 out of 2, because I don't think that it's really going to be like the best price. Okay, unless they actually did this 2+ study smaller, then that's something to really talk about. Now, of course, for own stay wise, I'm pretty sure it's like the 2-bed, 2-bath, 2-bed premium, because there's nothing too much different, unless you really use the study like a maid's room or like a storage area as a young couple. But otherwise, I don't really see like a big difference. Sometimes 2+ study and the 3-bedroom, a lot of people would prefer the 3-bedroom. That's why in terms of the own stay portion, 3-bedroom is a much better choice, unless there's a budget issue. So for 2+ study within Lentor Gardens, out of 10, the score is 6 out of 10. Okay, it's not the best, because I have to be very honest. With you, I would say that it's a rather okay 2+ study, but it doesn't really stand out within the competition. So next we are moving on to the 3-bed premium. Lentor Modern, okay, we have it at 969 square feet. Why would I consider this as a 3-bed premium? Because if you see, there's like no yard in the kitchen, there's no like other WC or even like a maid's room. But why I'm still putting it as a 3-bed premium is because there is a flexi room over here. So it's something that, you know, is a little bit between study, flexi, so it's very hard to really put it anywhere. But in this case, I would rather put it as a 3-bed premium. Lowest sold 1.82 million, highest 2.366 million. Okay, last sold as a sub sale 2.493 million. Pretty solid. I even brought like a resale buyer to Lentor Modern and viewed the 3 bedrooms. Pretty good layout. I think it's the convenience, it's how it is. So for flex room wise, I don't think it's like the best size, but to put in like a bed for the maid's room, I think it's sufficient. But I don't think this is the best layout, because if you are using it as a maid's room, this is very close to the master bedroom and of course to the other 2 bedrooms. It's a bit weird, to be honest. So unless there's a better layout that is right in the kitchen, that'll be the best. So next we have Lentor Hill. This is a much bigger 3-bed premium. Okay, so Lentor Modern is 969 square feet. So for Lentor Hill is 1098 square feet. So it's about 100 square feet bigger. Okay, main thing about here is that it's a really actual 3-bed premium, because you have a home shelter, you have a WC, you have a yard area, you have windows for all the areas. I think it's pretty decent. Dining area, dedicated dining area over here. It's not really like the best entrance because of a wasted space over here, but I think overall it's still fine. Lowest sold 2.033, and then the highest is 2.493. which is similar to what Lentor Modern Subsale is. Next we have Lentor Mansion, one of the smallest 3-bed premium in my opinion. Some may not call it 3-bed premium, but in my case I call it 3-bed premium because just look at the layout. Okay, but one thing I have to highlight, 861 square feet. This is the smallest 3-bed premium. Why I would say it's a premium because in terms of flexi, it could be converted into a storeroom or like a maid's room. So one thing I'm a bit curious is that why is it like an open kitchen? Okay, it should probably be like an enclosable kitchen. 3-bed premium in this sense, okay, but it is a dumbbell layout. Okay, it's like a 2-bedroom condo layout plus a bedroom on the other side. So efficient use of space, yes. Is it the best layout? Probably not, because again, flexi room is right beside the master bedroom and the bedroom. So sometimes it could be a bit awkward, you see. And it's not really like the most fantastic 3-bedroom you'll be seeing because it's pretty small in a sense. Lowest 1.906 million and then the highest at 2.159 million. Next up we have Lentor Central 3-bed premium. Okay, it's a pretty standard one. Home shelter, WC, yard area, and then it's an enclosable kitchen. Bedrooms all tucked in one corner. It's pretty fair, pretty good. Only thing is that the corridor space, you see, if you see this area, all these are wasted space. It's pretty decent, but it's not like the best. Size wise, also not the biggest, so I think it's still fair enough. Okay, for Lentor Central, lowest sold 2.218 million and the highest at 2.578 million. So for Lentor Gardens Residences, what I would consider as a 3-bed premium. In this sense, they put it as a C2 plus study. If you see study over here, and you have like a kitchen, I think it's pretty safe to say that this study can be your storeroom or like your maid's room. Okay, very good size, 936 square feet, even though it's not the smallest, but it is still the second smallest because the other ones are about 1000 odd square feet. Okay, except for the Lentor model at 969 square feet. Okay, so I think 936 is pretty decent. So one thing to highlight is that this study is not too close to the master bedroom. Okay, it's still closer to the living room, so I think it's still pretty okay compared to the other layouts that we have seen. Okay, unit wise, I think this area is a bit wasted because there's nothing we can really do about this area, so it could potentially be smaller. Of course, in terms of the building structure, the design, it's a bit difficult to not have this kind of walkway, but I'm sure as a 3-bed itself, it's a pretty decent layout for sure. So personally, for my scoring within the 3-bed premium, I would say that in terms of floor plan efficiency, okay, it's not really the best because of this wasted space over here. Okay, if we look back, we have, okay, this is the most efficient but not the most ideal layout that anyone wants to live in. So the most ideal one I would pretty say is Lentor Hill. Okay, next one will be Lentor Modern, even though there's a wastage of space here. So again, for floor plan efficiency, I'm giving it 1 out of 2. Functional floor plan, I would say that in terms of the 3-bed premium layout comparisons, I would say it's pretty functional. It's not like there's nothing too much, nothing too little. In terms of the study, we can use it as a maid's room. Everything else pretty standard. That's why for this one, I'm giving it like a 2 out of 2. Okay. Flexibility in this sense, I think it's pretty safe to say it's 2 out of 2 because the walls can be hacked. So for anyone who buys this unit, but you only need 2 bedrooms, okay, by all means you can hack away this wall. You can have like a very nice landscape living room. Secondly, for anyone who wants to combine the master bedroom and the common bedroom into like a walk-in wardrobe, by all means hack away the wall here, seal up the door here, and then this will be your walk-in wardrobe. Okay, so I believe in terms of flexibility, it does have it. So in this case, it's 2 out of 2. Price quantum, I don't think is really the best, personally speaking, because we have like a smaller unit over here, 861 square feet. We also have a pre-harmonized Lentor Modern at 969 square feet. So what happens if it's post-harmonized? It could be potentially smaller, right? So I was hoping that Lentor Gardens could be a little bit smaller but more efficient in the floor plan. Okay, in this case, if they were to do something about this one, it could have been better. Okay, so in this case, for price quantum, I'll probably give it like a 1 out of 2 compared to the other layouts. And the last one, own stay. Okay, so for own stay itself, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, 3-bed premium, who's not buying for own stay? So for those who are looking to buy a 3-bed premium, it's usually for the functionality of the floor plan, like whether it fits their lifestyle, whether it's similar to what they have lived in before. For example, a HDB upgrader moving to Lentor Gardens, they're probably looking at something of a similar floor plan, and in this case, the study can be their home shelter. Okay, so this is where we want to highlight that people who are upgrading might prefer this one, and those who are buying is probably going to be buying for own stay. And in this case, your pool of resale buyers will be someone who is willing to pay more if you can sell them vacant, if you can sell them a unit that they really like because of its functionality. Okay, so again, for the transitor range, for the 3-bed premium is about 1.82 million all the way to 2.578 million. So if the queue is good, anything between about 2 million, 2.2, 2.3, I think is still pretty safe. Something that you can really enter in. But otherwise, if anything that's above 2.578 million, then I think you have to really think hard about your purchase, whether this purchase really makes sense for you, or are you going to set the next benchmark for the highest unit generated within the Lentor area, and hoping that the next Lentor Central GIS will actually bring up your prices. So the total score for 3-bed premium is 8 out of 10. I would say it's pretty good because in terms of the overall performance, I would say that this is something really someone can really consider. And of course, the key thing here is that if you're going to buy something of certain layout, you have to make sure that there's a resale demand in the future. So at least when you sell, there's going to be people who's keen to offer, keen to view your place, and because they need it, and not because they have ample choices to look around and view, and then just because the price is cheap, then they go and buy from you. It's not that way. Next one, we have 4-bed premium. First off, we have Hillock Green. Okay, Hillock Green, 4-bed premium, utility room, WC yard area, big kitchen. I like the landscape living room, very nice landscape living room. Okay, only thing I have to say is that this walkway space is a bit wasted. Other than that, I think it's still pretty good. Size at 1313 square feet. Lowest 2.566 to 3.356 million. Next, we have Lentor Hill. Okay, 4-bedroom, same thing. This is your utility, store area, yard area, kitchen. Okay, only thing that's lacking here is the landscape living room. So in this case, they're doing like a portrait living room. So apart from the storeroom over here, you still have an additional home shelter. So for storage, as a mixed room, I think you have 2 different places or 2 different choices to actually work on. Okay, so for Lentor Hill, 4-bedroom sold at 2.545 million to 3.013 million. So apart from this, I would say that the floor plan is pretty standard, except for this part where you have a small space that is not really like entirely usable. Okay, but other than that, I think it's pretty standard. Next one, we have Lentoria. So for this 4-bed, it's a bit different from the 2 different layouts that we have seen. This is like a dumbbell layout. Okay, your junior master on the side, then you have 3 bedrooms on the other side. Okay, enclosed kitchen, utility, yard area. Kitchen seems to be a little bit smaller than the previous units that we have seen. Another thing is the wasted space over here for the corridor. Not the best, but I think this is what the best they can do within the with the design of this building. Okay, living room, not the biggest, but I think it's still pretty fair. Okay, size at 1206 square feet. Lowest 2.504 million to 2.952 million. The purchase here should be really for functionality, just for the 4 bedrooms, and not really for like something to compare like Hillock Green. You have like a big landscape living room. Okay. Next, we have Lentor Mansion, 1227 square feet. So previously we have seen that Lentor Mansion, they are all doing like small units, but when it comes to the big units, they actually made it bigger than the other launches. Okay, so it's a bit different from the previous what they have done for the smaller units. Okay, so over here we have like a enclosable kitchen. Okay, WC over here. Not the best place, but I think it's still pretty fair, like a powder room, okay, for your guests. And then a very nice big dining area, 8-seater, 10-seater, I think that should be fine. And then we also have like a landscape living room. Only thing here is that the walls cannot be taken down. Okay, Lentor can. Okay, you can take down the walls and then to enlarge your living room if you want to. But for Lentor Mansion, it's not possible. And of course, with the bigger size of this unit at 1227 square feet, it's sold lowest at 2.642 million and then up to 2.92 million. So next we have Lentor Central. We have two different 4-bedroom to share with you. Okay, so this one is pretty standard. Home shelter, yard area, WC, kitchen area, the bedrooms tucked in one corner. Okay, now of course over here the master bedroom is very big. Okay, you have like a walk-in wardrobe area. You have a very nice area for the master bedroom. Okay, only thing that is lacking here is that is a portrait living room. Okay, lowest 2.368 million to 2.822 million. Okay, Lentor Central also have another type, which is similar to what we have seen in Hillock Green. Okay, they have like a storeroom, yard area, and then they have like a big kitchen and an additional home shelter. But the very good thing here is that they have a very nice landscape living room. Okay, only thing that I have to say is this corridor space is a bit too long. And it's not really the best use of the space, but with the size being at 1399 square feet, I believe the extra is where all the corridor space. Okay, over here same thing for master bedroom. We have like a very big area with the walk-in closet. Of course, for here, even though not all the walls are hackable, but at least part of it is still hackable. So for someone who's looking to increase the size of the bedroom, or rather the master bedroom, you can actually put the door here. Then you just hack away this one. It could be part of your walk-in wardrobe area if you want to. But otherwise, just keep it as a bedroom. So the lowest sold 2.678 million to 3.23 million. And the last one we have is Lentor Gardens Residences. Okay, 1184 square feet. This is similar to what we have in Lentor Central. Same size. Home shelter tucked in one corner. So you see there's no wastage of space. There's no corridor space over here. Everything is very functional. Wet kitchen, yard, WC. Then we have all the bedrooms tucked in one corner. I think it's pretty functional, especially since the walls are hackable, and this way you can actually you can plan your space very nicely. You want to enlarge the living room, say no more, just knock this wall away. You want to increase the size of your master bedroom, knock this wall away. Then you just put the door here. Then you can have a very nice big master bedroom. Okay, everything is quite functional. I think it's a very good use of space for the 4-bedroom at 1184 square feet. Okay, next one, we also have a landscape living room 4-bedroom, and this really stands out because in this area to find one is very difficult. Like you have seen Hillock Green. If you want something even bigger, it's going to be like Lentor Modern, 1500 square feet. It's going to be a 4-bed plus study, and the walls are all, you cannot knock down the walls. It's not very flexible in this sense. Okay, one thing I have to say is that this corridor area, these are all really like a wasted space. So it's not really like the best, but it's still pretty functional. You have home shelter, you have wet kitchen, yard, WC. You have you have extra bathroom. You have like a junior master. You have a master bedroom over here with a walk-in wardrobe. So one more thing I have to highlight is that even though Lentor Garden talks about flexibility, this wall is not knockable. So although we have a landscape living room, we don't have the flexibility to make it even bigger. Okay? But the good thing is that there is a dedicated dining area where you can place a very big, maybe a 6-seater, 8-seater over here, and still looks pretty good because there's a good space for the living room sofa to be in. Size-wise, it's smaller than Lentor Central. This is 1356 square feet. And so again, for Lentor Garden, as with all the bedroom types, if there's a chance to purchase something within this range, by all means, because otherwise you'll be going to pay for the sub-sale kind of prices, but you cannot live in for this period of time. You have to wait for another 4 years for it to TOP before you can move in. So I will do the scoring for the 4-bed premium. Of course, I will score them together. So the first one is floor plan efficiency. Okay, even though we have like a small one over here, but compared to the other layouts where they have like a very long wasted corridor space, okay, I would say that this is still pretty decent. Okay, so I'm giving it a 2 out of 2. So in terms of the functionality of the floor plan, I would say that they are pretty well planned in this sense. They are very functional. There's nothing too crazy about it. There's nothing too odd about it. I think everything that it needs is there, and they actually cater to 2 different types of buyers, where you have a smaller 4-bedroom for those who really need a 4-bedroom but they have a limited budget, and also for those who have a need for a bigger 4-bedroom and they just want something slightly more luxurious. They want like a bigger living room, they want everything more spacious. I think this fits the bill, and therefore in terms of functionality, I also give it a 2 out of 2. Flexibility wise, again, compared to the other 4-bedrooms out there, so I think for Lentor Garden, with the flexibility to knock down the walls, I think this is something that really stands out, especially for those who buy. The more bedrooms you have, right, the more flexible you can actually plan your space with. Because I have a buyer who actually bought Lentor Modern 4+ study. Even though it's about 1,500 odd square feet, she cannot do anything with the walls because you cannot hang down the walls. So even though she has 4 bedrooms, she wants to combine 1 or 2, it's not possible. But for this, in this case, it's possible. Now, of course, in terms of flexibility, this might not be the best, but it is still more flexible compared to the other 4 bedrooms within the Lentor vicinity. Okay, so again, it's still 2 out of 2. Next one is the price quantum. Okay, we have one at 1184 square feet, one at 1356 square feet. Okay, so being a post-harmonized project, can we do something that is smaller than the pre-harmonized project? Possible, right? For example, like Hero Green, they're able to do a landscape living room 4-bedroom with utility, yard and kitchen, and 4 bedrooms at 1313 square feet. In this sense, I would say that even though it's functional, it's efficient, but in terms of price quantum, it's lacking a bit because of the size. Okay, so in this case, I will give it 1 over 2. And the last point for own stay, because 4-bedroom so far has really performed really well. If you're looking at the Lentor Modern's sub-sale condos, right, the profit range can be up to like 400,000-500,000. Because people who bought earlier, for example, my client who bought it at 3 million, the neighbor downstairs just sold it for 3.4 million. So she's earning like a 400,000 to 500,000 kind of range for a 4-bedroom, which is pretty decent. So in terms of own stay, people are buying here really just for own stay because they need the 4 bedrooms. They like this area. It's a new area. Everything is new. So in terms of own stay, I will give it a 2 out of 2. So for the 4-bedroom, the total score is 9 out of 10. So out of all the different floor plans that I've really compared, right, 4-bedroom really stands out in the floor plan efficiency, the functionality of the floor plan, how flexible it is, and for the own stay purpose. Price quantum is a bit lacking, but I think it should be fine. It should be fine if the developer priced it within the range. I think that should be fine. So we are at the end of the scoring, even though it might seem a bit one-sided, but because for the floor plan, or rather the layout comparison itself, I've just picked out just some of the... Because for the layout comparison itself, I picked up some of the layouts just for comparison. It's not really like an entire Lentor area per se. Now, of course, I'm not comparing with all of it. So if you're looking at Lentor Garden Residences with a specific layout in mind, and you're unsure whether it will score well with the other similar floor plans or layout within this vicinity, do reach out to me. I'll be happy to go through the numbers with you. So next up, if you're HDB upgraders, for example, okay, this is something we want to work with. Okay, for example, you're a couple with a combined income of $15,000 per month, and you're staying in a 5-room HDB flat in Ang Mo Kio with an estimated value of $1.2 million. Outstanding loan of $250,000. CPF used for the HDB, including accrued interest, is estimated to be about $250,000. So referring to the table that I have, the net cash on hand you have after selling should be about 700,000. So if you're looking at a 3-bedroom at an estimated price of $2.2 million, is it possible for you to upgrade? Okay. With a 25% down payment required, you're required to pay about $550,000 cash plus CPF. So minimum will be 5% cash, which is about $110,000. Remaining 20% via CPF OA, which is about $440,000. Loan amount $1.65 million, which you should be able to get it at $15,000 per month as a couple below 35 years old. Okay, buyer stamp duty about close to $80,000. Total outlay is about $629,600. If you're selling your HDB and taking home about $950,000 after the sale for cash plus CPF, minus your total outlay of $629,600, you'll still have $320,400. And if the mortgage installment is $5,854 by TOP, so if you are referring to the interest rate for about 1.7% for loan tenure of 30 years, you have a safety net of 4.5 years at least. And I haven't calculated, for example, like how much you can save with your CPF, don't even need to touch your cash portion throughout the first maybe half a year to 1 year as a progressive payment. And after that, how much you just need to top up with your cash a little bit more. And if we calculate everything together, and not to forget, you don't need to pay any property tax within the 4 years of building. You don't need to pay any maintenance fees throughout the 4 years of building. You're saving a lot more compared to what you are seeing on the surface. Okay? And in this case, you are probably going to last through maybe 5 years, 6 years without even touching your own savings. Everything will be covered just from the sale of your HDB flat. And that's the beauty of this. So the honest message here is that 3-bedroom premium in Lentor Gardens, if it's priced about 2.2 million, I think it's a viable option as a HDB upgrader. But if you're looking at the 4-bedroom premium, a more detailed calculation is required. So before I give you my verdict for Lentor Gardens Residences, I want to answer a question that most agents never ask. And that is, who's going to buy from you in the next 5 to 10 years? A clear answer is looking at Lentor Modern sub-sale transactions. Lentor Modern, being the first project to launch within this area and of course the first to achieve TOP, it's evident that keen resale purchasers will move it first. With 38 sub-sale units, 1 1-bedroom, 10 2-bedroom, and mind you, the 2-bedroom here are 2 plus study, 24 3-bedrooms and 3 4-bedroom units. The purchasers looking for larger units are clearly more. And of course, the larger the unit, the less the supply. Because most purchasers who actually bought these big units are usually for own stay. One question they get asked often: this precinct has about 3,400 units delivered or under construction. What will happen to Lentor Gardens Residences when it reaches TOP? When Lentor Gardens Residences reaches TOP around 2030, that should be the end of the seller stamp duty period. Because if you can recall, previously the seller stamp duty has increased from 3 years to 4 years. Lentor Gardens Residences being laid into the area might actually be a benefit, because the big supply of the sub-sale should happen between 2026 to 2028. As the supply slows down by 2030, the influx of the supply from Lentor Gardens Residences might rejuvenate the area. For investors seeking rental yield, the average rent is about $4,000 and the highest at $4,800 in Lentor Modern. Surprisingly, the rental here is higher than most areas and sometimes on par with those CCR areas. And yet, the prices bought during launch are way lower than the CCR areas. Time for the canny verdict. 3 types of buyers, 3 honest assessments, no sales pitch. For HDB upgraders, my verdict depends on one number: the official launch price. The layout for the 3 and 4 bedroom is very good in my opinion, and I don't see a reason why it will be difficult to sell to resale buyers in the future. My personal take is to keep the purchase price within the transacted range, and if your queue is really good, leave some buffer for the developer to push your price further. If you're already holding a unit in the Lentor precinct, this is what this launch means for you. The successful Lentor Gardens launch, strong take-up above 70% on launch day, validates the precinct pricing and lifts your resale floor. That's good news for holders. However, If you're considering to sell your existing unit and buy into this launch, which I call the swap, I'd say watch first. Do a comparison on the pricing and layout with your current unit and switch out if there's a chance to get a better layout unit. For investors, I'm going to be very direct. This is not a short-term flip because the SSD locks you in for 4 years and at least until 2030. So make sure you are able to get the best layout unit. For 2 bedrooms, the rental yield might be affected as more projects TOP. With more supply and a newer launch further away from the MRT, I doubt we can fetch the same kind of rent as Lentor Modern. So give yourself some discount on the rent for up to 10% as a buffer. Secondly, I mentioned about some resale projects fetching the same kind of rent as Lentor Modern. If the price is higher than these resale projects when it comes to your queue, my personal take is to walk away. But if your queue is good and you can choose a good price unit, by all means, go ahead. Now of course, if your budget allows you to go up to 3-bed premium or even 4-bed premium, by all means go ahead. Because the supply in the resale market in the future will be much lower as compared to like a 2-bedroom or even a 2+ study in this Lentor area. Key thing to note is the developer's pricing strategy for the floor jump and view jump. Based on Kingsford's past launch, I doubt there will be much of a difference, but just in case. So if you're a HDB owner wondering whether Lentor Gardens makes sense for your situation, WhatsApp me at 988 599. Type the word upgrade when you message me, and I'll send you a personalized cash flow and affordability breakdown at no charge. If this video helped you think more clearly about this project, subscribe. I post a new project analysis every month using the same framework. And if you have a friend who's looking at Lentor right now, send them this video before they make any decisions. Once again, I'm Kenny. Analyze first and move smart with Ken.